Get on the ground. Now. The voice is a hammer, shattering the 2 a.m. silence. The front door of her small rental home splinters inward, torn from its frame. Two shapes, silhouetted against the streetlights, fill the doorway. They are large, clad in dark uniforms, weapons drawn. Imani Vance does not scream. She does not gasp. She is on her feet before the second command is shouted, her body moving with an economy born of instinct and training. The transition from deep sleep to full, cold awareness is instantaneous. One officer is a bull, broad, thick-necked, radiating a furious energy. His face is a mask of pure aggression. His weapon is steady. The other is younger, thinner. His movements are hesitant, his eyes wide, darting around the small, tidy living room. He looks less like a predator and more like a kid who has wandered into the wrong yard. On your face. Hands behind your back, the bull bellows. His name tag reads Miller. Imani complies. She always complies. She lowers herself to the floor, the worn wooden planks cool against her cheek. The motion is smooth, controlled, not the panicked collapse of a frightened civilian. She places her hands carefully behind her back, palms up, fingers relaxed. A knee grinds into her spine. Metal teeth bite into her wrists as handcuffs are cinched tight. Too tight. What is the meaning of this? She asks. Her voice is calm, devoid of the terror they expect. It is a simple, clear question. Miller yanks her to her feet by the chain of the cuffs. Pain, sharp and electric, shoots up her arms. The meaning is you shut your mouth. You have the right to remain silent. I am aware of my rights. Officer Miller, she says, her eyes locking onto his. I am asking for the probable cause for this entry. Miller scoffs, a wet, ugly sound. He shoves her toward the sofa. Probable cause is an anonymous tip about suspicious activity. Drugs. Trafficking. Sound familiar? He says the words like an accusation, his gaze sweeping over her, taking in her simple gray t-shirt and pajama pants, her dark skin, her braided hair. His expression hardens into a familiar, ugly certainty. He has already tried and convicted her in his mind. The younger officer, Davis, shifts his weight. He looks at the bookshelf filled with volumes on constitutional law and behavioral psychology. He sees the single, elegant orchid on the windowsill. This is not a drug den. May I see the warrant? Imani asks, her tone still unervingly level. This question seems to enrage Miller. It is a challenge to his absolute authority in this space he has violated. Warrant? We don't need a warrant when we have cause to believe a crime is in progress. The legal standard is exigent circumstances. Imani corrects him, her voice clinical. What specific, articulable facts led you to believe evidence would be destroyed or lives were in imminent danger in the seconds it would take to knock? Silence. Miller's face flushes a deep, blotchy red. He is not used to being questioned. He is certainly not used to being questioned with such precision by a woman who should be begging. You think you're smart, he spits. He turns and kicks over a small stack of books by the armchair. Pages flutter. Let's see how smart you are. He begins to tear her small, quiet sanctuary apart. Imani watches him. Her mind is not on the violation. It is not on her fear. It is a cold, detached machine, recording every detail. Time of entry, 2:11 a.m. Forced, no-knock entry. Failure to announce. Badge number 714, Miller. Badge number 922, Davis. No warrant presented. Claim of exigent circumstances without basis. Excessive force and cuffing. Verbal threats. Destruction of property. This is not a home invasion. It is an evidence-gathering opportunity. She is here for a reason. Not in this house, specifically, but in this state of quiet isolation. Just 2 weeks ago, she was Section Chief Imani Vance of the FBI's Public Integrity Section. She stood in a federal courtroom and watched as the last of 12 corrupt police officers was sentenced to 30 years in prison. The case had consumed her for 2 years. It was a sprawling network of extortion, evidence tampering, and brutality. A cancer on the city of Northgate. She had dismantled it, piece by piece. The work had taken its toll. The threats, the long hours, the constant immersion in the worst of human behavior. Her director, a man who saw her as a daughter as much as a subordinate, had been firm. Mandatory leave, Imani. 3 months. Go somewhere quiet. Read books that have nothing to do with case law. Forget the bureau exists. So she found this small town, a place called Harmony Creek, a place where no one knew her name. She rented a small house under a shortened version of her middle name, Nia. She wanted to be anonymous. She wanted to heal. She wanted to forget the ugliness. But the ugliness had found her. It had kicked down her door. From his corner, Officer Davis watches the scene unfold with a growing sickness in his stomach. This is wrong. He knew it was wrong when Miller got the tip from a notoriously unreliable snitch he keeps on a leash. He knew it was wrong when they bypassed the standard procedure to get a warrant signed by a judge. Just a quick knock and talk, Rook, Miller had said. We'll toss the place, scare her a little. It's how we keep these neighborhoods clean. This isn't a knock and talk. This is a rampage. Miller pulls cushions off the sofa, slashes them with a knife he carries. White stuffing bleeds onto the floor. Miller, stop, Davis says, his voice quiet but firm. This is enough. Miller wheels on him, his eyes wild. Enough? We haven't found anything yet. You think she's just a sweet little church lady? Look at her. Calm as a snake. She's hiding something. He turns back to Imani, his face inches from hers. His breath is sour with stale coffee. Where is it? The stash? The cash? Tell me now, and I might go easy on you. Imani meets his gaze without flinching. There is nothing to find, officer. You are committing multiple felonies. I suggest you stop. Her composure is a fire accelerant on his rage. He sees it as defiance, as arrogance. He cannot comprehend that it is the profound calm of a professional who is watching an amateur self-destruct. I'll be the one who decides what's a felony, he snarls. He stomps into the kitchen. The sound of cupboards being ripped from their hinges echoes through the house. Glass shatters. Davis moves closer to Imani. Are you okay, ma'am? He whispers. I will be, she replies, her voice a low murmur. Officer Davis, I want you to remember everything you see here tonight. Every word, every action. Your career may depend on it. Her words hang in the air, filled with a weight that chills him. It's not a threat. It's a statement of fact. Miller returns from the kitchen, holding nothing. His frustration has reached a fever pitch. His eyes scan the room, looking for something else to break, something else to violate. They land on the mantelpiece. There is only one object there. A simple silver frame holding a photograph. It's a picture of a younger Imani, smiling, standing next to a proud, uniformed man. Her father, Captain Marcus Vance of the Metro PD, retired. Deceased 3 years now. The man who taught her the meaning of justice. The reason she carried a badge. Miller picks it up. He studies the photo, a sneer twisting his lips. Look at this. Got a picture with a cop. Think that makes you one of the good ones. A little prop to make you look innocent. Imani says nothing. But for the first time, a change occurs. A hardening in her eyes. A stillness that is different from her calm. It is the stillness of a predator. Please, she says, her voice barely a whisper. Put that down. The word please is all the permission Miller needs. He sees it as weakness, a crack in her armor. He laughs. Or what? He raises the frame and, with a final, contemptuous look at her, smashes it onto the hearth. The glass shatters. The silver frame bends and breaks. The image of her father is torn. That is the breaking point. Not for Imani's composure. That remains absolute. It is the breaking point for any possibility of this ending quietly. Any chance of this being a formal complaint. This has now escalated. Miller has crossed a line from which there is no return. He has declared war on the memory of her father. He has declared war on her. And he has no idea who he is fighting. All right, I'm done with this, Miller announces, breathing heavily. Found nothing, but you're coming with me. Resisting arrest. Obstruction. We'll find something to make it stick. Resisting? Imani asks, her voice like ice. I am on the floor in handcuffs, officer. Please articulate how I am resisting. Your mouth is resisting, he growls, hauling her to her feet again. Let's go. A night in the tank will fix your attitude. He shoves her toward the ruined doorway. She does not stumble. Her feet are sure. Her posture is straight. As she passes Davis, she gives him a look. It is not a plea for help. It is an instruction. Remember. The drive to the station is silent. Miller is behind the wheel, humming a tuneless, self-satisfied song. Davis sits in the passenger seat, staring out the window, his stomach in knots. Imani sits in the back, the cage pressing against her shoulders. She is not thinking about the holding cell. She is not thinking about the humiliation. She is thinking about jurisdiction. She is thinking about federal statutes. Title 18, Section 242 of the U.S. Code. Deprivation of rights under color of law. A crime she has successfully prosecuted more than 50 times. She is building the case in her head. Miller is the primary target. Davis is the material witness. The illegal entry is the foundation. The destruction of property, the excessive force, the false arrest, they are the load-bearing walls of the indictment. Miller has not just arrested a citizen. He has handed a federal prosecutor a textbook case against himself. He has built his own cage. The Harmony Creek Police Department is a small, squat brick building that smells of stale coffee and desperation. The booking area is brutally lit with fluorescent tubes that hum and flicker. A portly, disheveled man with thinning gray hair leans against the high booking desk. Chief Brody. He looks annoyed to have been woken up. Miller, what is this? He grunts, gesturing vaguely at Imani. It's 3 in the morning. Got a smart one here, Chief, Miller says, a triumphant grin on his face. He shoves Imani forward toward a hard plastic bench bolted to the floor. Anonymous tip on a stash house. Place was clean, but she was giving me all sorts of trouble. Belligerent. Uncooperative. Figured we'd hold her for obstruction until she learned some respect. Chief Brody eyes Imani with lazy disinterest. He has seen this 1,000 times. Miller on a power trip. Another black face to be processed and forgotten. It is easier to sign the paperwork than to question his most aggressive officer. It is the path of least resistance. He is an enabler, a man whose inaction has cultivated the rot in his department. Just process her and get it over with, Brody mumbles, turning to go back to his office. Wait, Imani says. Her voice is not loud, but it cuts through the humming lights and the chief's indifference. It has an authority that makes both men pause. Miller turns back, his face clouded with anger. I told you to shut your mouth. No, Imani says, her eyes fixed on him. I don't think I will. She looks past him, her gaze directed at the entrance through which they came. There is a simple coat rack there, next to the door. On one of the hooks hangs a single garment, a dark blue windbreaker. She had hung it there herself when she first arrived in town to introduce herself to the local department, a professional courtesy she extends wherever she goes. A courtesy they have clearly forgotten. Her gaze is so intense, so focused, that Miller and Brody both turn to see what she is looking at. It is just a jacket. Simple. Unassuming. Then they see the letters on the back. Bold. Yellow. Unmistakable. FBI. Miller freezes. His brain refuses to process what his eyes are seeing. It is an impossible contradiction. The jacket. The woman in cuffs. The two realities cannot coexist. He slowly turns his head back to Imani. His eyes trace a path from the jacket to the embroidered patch on the front, over the left breast. Special Agent I. Vance. Federal Bureau of Investigation. The blood drains from Miller's face. He is no longer red with rage. He is the color of ash. The swagger, the confidence, the absolute certainty, it all evaporates in an instant, replaced by a profound, bottomless terror. He looks at the woman he has brutalized for the past hour. He sees her not as a target, but as the single greatest mistake of his entire life. Her calm is no longer defiance. It is judgment. Chief Brody takes a stumbling step backward, his hand flying to his mouth. The lazy annoyance on his face has been wiped clean, replaced by the horrified mask of a man watching his world end. He knows what this means. This is not a complaint. This is not a lawsuit. This is the end of his department. The end of his career. Chief Brody, Imani says, her voice ringing in the sudden, tomb-like silence. Officer Miller has committed a number of federal crimes tonight. As have you, by your willful indifference. At that moment, Officer Davis finds his voice. It shakes, but it is clear. He takes a step forward, away from Miller, creating a physical and moral distance between them. She's right, Chief, Davis says, his words coming in a rush. The entry was illegal. He had no warrant. He destroyed her property. He used excessive force. I saw everything. My body camera has been active the entire time. Miller flinches as if struck. His own camera, he now remembers with a fresh wave of nausea, was conveniently turned off. Imani gives Davis a slight, almost imperceptible nod. The nod of a superior officer acknowledging a subordinate's correct and courageous action. Chief Brody, she continues, I am now officially invoking my authority as a federal officer. This station is a crime scene. No one is to leave. Nothing is to be touched or deleted. I am entitled to one phone call. Officer Davis, if you would be so kind. She turns her cuffed hands toward the rookie. Dazed, Davis fumbles for his keys and unlocks the restraints. The metal falls away from her bruised wrists. Imani flexes her fingers, rubbing the raw skin. She walks to the booking desk, picks up the phone, and dials a 10-digit number from memory. Brody and Miller watch, paralyzed, as she speaks. This is Section Chief Vance, she says into the receiver. I need to speak with Director Carmichael. Yes, I'll hold. The name hangs in the air like a guillotine. Director Carmichael, the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. A moment passes. Robert, it's Imani, she says, her voice warming slightly, the tone of a professional speaking to a respected colleague. I'm fine, but I have a situation here in Harmony Creek. A civil rights issue. Yes. Title 18, Section 242. It's textbook. I'm at the local police station. No backup needed yet, but I'm going to need a full field office response. Evidence response team, the works. And Robert, get me the U.S. attorney for this district on the line. She listens for a moment, then hangs up the phone. She turns to face the two men whose lives she has just systematically dismantled. Help is on the way, she says. The next hour is a blur of swift, decisive action. It starts with the arrival of two state troopers from a nearby barracks, summoned by the FBI dispatch to secure the scene. They enter, see Imani, see the terrified local cops, and immediately understand who is in charge. They stand guard at the doors, their faces impassive. Then, the federal government arrives. Dark sedans and SUVs descend on the small police station like a silent, avenging fleet. Men and women in dark suits and tactical gear emerge, moving with a quiet, disciplined purpose. They are agents from the nearest field office, and they greet Imani with a mixture of deference and concern. Chief Vance, says the agent in charge, a tall, grim man named Harris. Are you all right? The director was emphatic. I'm fine, Tom, Imani says, gesturing to her ruined home's address on a piece of paper. My rental needs the ERT. The scene is contaminated, but still viable. Officers Miller and Davis were present. Miller was the primary aggressor. The agents work with chilling efficiency. They take statements. They confiscate computers, logbooks, and every recording device in the building. Davis's body camera footage is downloaded and immediately flagged as primary evidence. Miller and Brody are separated, placed in interview rooms. They are no longer police officers in their own station. They are suspects in a federal investigation. The power dynamic has not just been reversed, it has been annihilated. The U.S. attorney calls Imani's cell phone directly. They speak for 20 minutes. Warrants are drawn up not just for the station, but for Miller's home, his financials, his phone records. The investigation expands exponentially. What they uncover is a festering sickness. Miller has a long history of anonymous tips leading to aggressive, warrantless searches in minority neighborhoods. All of them resulted in dropped charges but served their purpose of intimidation. Chief Brody signed off on every single one, burying the dozens of civilian complaints that followed. The corruption case Imani had just closed in Northgate? They discover phone records linking Miller to one of the convicted officers. He wasn't just a bigot. He was connected. Harmony Creek wasn't a sanctuary. It was a satellite of the same rot she had just spent 2 years excising. By dawn, the sun rises on a completely different world. Officer Miller is led from his own station in handcuffs, real ones this time. He is charged with a litany of federal crimes that will put him away for decades. He looks shrunken, pathetic, a bully stripped of his power. Chief Brody is placed on administrative leave, a prelude to his own indictment for conspiracy and obstruction of justice. His career is over. His legacy is one of shame. The Department of Justice announces that the Harmony Creek Police Department will be placed under a federal consent decree, a complete top-to-bottom overhaul overseen by the federal government. Imani stands on the sidewalk, watching the controlled chaos. Director Carmichael had offered to fly out himself. She had told him it wasn't necessary. She was in control. Agent Harris approaches her. We recovered the frame from your mantelpiece, ma'am. The photo is torn, but we can have the lab restore it. Imani looks at him, and for the first time, a genuine smile touches her lips. Thank you, Tom. I'd appreciate that. In the weeks that follow, the changes are seismic. The story becomes national news. The Harmony Creek incident becomes a case study at the FBI Academy. Officer Davis becomes a star witness for the prosecution. His clear, unwavering testimony and his body camera footage are the nails in Miller's and Brody's coffins. For his integrity, he is not just commended. He is offered a role as an instructor at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, teaching constitutional policing to new recruits. He accepts, leaving the toxic environment of his old department behind. Imani's mandatory leave is canceled at her own request. She does not return to her old desk. Director Carmichael creates a new position for her. She is named head of a new National Task Force on Police Accountability, a rapid response unit designed to investigate civil rights abuses within law enforcement agencies across the country. Her first act is to recommend a nationwide review of how anonymous tips are handled. 3 months later, Imani Vance stands at a podium. She is not in a quiet rental house. She is at FBI headquarters in Quantico, addressing the newest graduating class of agents. She is dressed in a sharp, dark suit. Behind her, on a large screen, is a professionally restored photograph, a young girl smiling next to her father, a proud police captain. The badge you are about to receive is not a weapon of authority, she tells the rapt audience. It is a covenant of trust. It is a promise to protect the rights of every single person, regardless of who they are or where they live. That promise is sacred. When it is broken, it is our job to restore it. Not for vengeance, but for justice. Not just to punish the guilty, but to reaffirm the integrity of the oath we all take. Her eyes sweep across the rows of new agents, men and women of all races and backgrounds. Never forget, she concludes, her voice ringing with unshakable conviction, that justice is not a destination. It is a constant, vigilant practice. Go out there and practice it well. The applause is thunderous. Miles away, in the small town of Harmony Creek, the old police station is being renovated. A new sign is being installed. It reads, Harmony Creek Community Policing and Resource Center. A car pulls up, and a man gets out. It is Davis. He looks at the new sign, a hopeful expression on his face. He is here to lead the first training seminar for the department's new recruits, under the watchful eye of the Federal Monitor. Change is slow. It is difficult, but it is happening. It began in the dark, with the splintering of a door, and it was brought into the light by a woman who refused to be broken.